Hello everybody, my name is Atomic Coasters, and welcome back to episode 3 of Plancha Lake. So this video ended up being a lot longer than I expected. The raw file for the video ended up being like almost 40 minutes. So this video sped up more than normal. Normally I speed it up by around 400%, but this one sped up by 700% because it was a lot longer than normal, and I want to keep these videos around the same time around the same length. So this video is basically just completely redoing the wooden coaster that I had made previously and changing it up to be a lot more realistic. I imagine that this is that wooden coaster that every park seems to have, that you just really want RMC'd, but the park never does it, and then eventually they do and everyone's really happy. This is basically this park's equivalent of Hurler. And so for when I'm finished a roller coaster, or any ride really, I'm going to be slowing down the video to real-time footage and then going through the layout. So I didn't change the first little bit or anything. It still has the 85-foot tall drop, and then it just goes through the rest of the layout. I tried to make it pretty I think I did a good job at making it fairly realistic. I tried to imagine it as like a simple little just a simple little, probably like PTC or DIN Woodie. I'd assume that this is either PTC or DIN. So yeah, this is just a fairly simple wooden coaster. Still don't have a name for it, so if you come up with a good one, then leave it in the comments down below, and I might name it after your comment, and I'll put your little username somewhere on like the ride station or something. So I ended up changing up everything about this ride. I changed the layout, changed the station, and changed the queue and the scenery around it a bit. So this brake run ended up not slowing down the train enough. So after this was done testing, I went in and I fixed the brake run, as you can see here, just to make it slow down a little bit more. And so now I can begin work on fixing up the station. Originally, I just kept the station building the same because I was planning to fix it for the next episode, but then I realized that this episode would be fairly short. So right now I'm doing a little brake switch track for the second train, but I decided to use the steeplechase track here because it works well as the sort of transfer rails that the train lies on. And I remember actually when I went to King's Dominion this year for in 2019, or I guess last year, during when it was like really raining, they took the train off of Twisted Timber, so I got to see how they take the trains off and put them onto the transfer track, which is actually pretty cool. It's one of those experiences at an amusement park it's something that you know happens, but it's cool to see it. So anyways, right now I'm just adding a bit more detail, throwing in some little supports and whatnot, and so I was figuring out what I wanted to do with this area. And so originally I wanted to put a train on this piece of transfer track, but I decided I couldn't get it to work for some reason. The station, it only allowed the entrance and exit to clip inside of the station building, so I just decided to scrap it. And so right now what I'm doing is I'm making it a bit more realistic by removing some of the closer trees to the track and replacing them with like bushes and stuff, and then also just adding a couple more trees. So basically right now what I'm doing is I'm just checking a bunch of stuff, and then I decided to fully rebuild this entire station building. And when it goes off of the screen like that, normally I'm on my second monitor looking up like a reference image or something, which I do a lot in this series, is that I use a lot of references for buildings. And so right now I try to change up the exit to make it a little bit more realistic. So instead of having it go through the bottom of the station building, I have it go down the side, down to like a little ramp thing like it is on most wooden coasters. And then I decided to completely change up this building and just make it look a lot more realistic. I sort of based it off of Grizzly's station at King's Dominion, but it's like loosely based off of it. It's loosely based off of Grizzly station, with a little bit of inspiration from Mighty Canadian Mindbuster, but not a whole lot. So I just want to say, I say this in every video, but the amount of support that's been going on in these last couple months is absolutely insane, and I'm really appreciative of it. So right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put bins for your loose articles, and I went with those mine carts, but then I decided that didn't look good, so I went with those treasure chests from, I think it's the pirate theme, and I think it looked pretty good, but there's not really a good loose article bin like that. I wanted a flat piece of roof over the actual coaster track, so I used this Dark Age roof and then the standard wooden slanted roof. And so right now I'm just filling in the rest of the roof, and I did the same thing that I did with the River Rapids ride, which is going to be probably changed up in the next episode to make it just look a bit better, where you use the tile inspector and then you just slant those little fence pieces to make it look like it's part of the wall, which I think looks pretty nice. And right now I'm just adding the finishing touches to the station building and just putting in that fence. And so I just fixed the queue here quickly, and that's about the end of the time lapse. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Atomic Coasters, and I hope to see you all in the next video.